What's the importance of financial independence to you?
Well, financial independence is what gives you the freedom of choice. And I think in this day and age, we all need to be able to have our autonomy. That is a huge element of that.
'Cause together we got plenty superpower. A subtle power.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is so nice to see you. And but you're not on TikTok. I'm curious, why, will you be going on TikTok?
I don't know. I mean, I think, look, I have had a very complicated relationship with social media, as you can probably imagine. And I also recognize the role that it plays in business. Part of it is, equally the work that you were talking about earlier. My husband and I spend a lot of time working on online harms, specifically surrounding protecting our children, not ours personally, but all of our children, for what they're susceptible to in the online space. So I'm sensitive to that. I also recognize that if you can show up in these spaces and be on the side of good, there is tremendous value in that also. So we're going to continue to expand the footprint in the social and digital space for the brand. For me personally, I don't know. The last time I was on Instagram, you guys, Boomerang was a thing. That was a long time ago. So having started in January, I just started to explore and play in the same way that anyone else does when they're online. I just happened to do it with a little bit more attention on what I was doing.
Yeah, it's a hard because obviously people want to be hearing from you, but then they have lots of opinions that they stick in there that are not welcome, not helpful. And I'm curious, as you are, founders always have to look for signals in what's working, what's not working, how do I tinker, how do I pivot? How are you able to decipher out like the constructive from obviously the not constructive that you need to ignore?
Well, there are certain things that I've done just from my own self-preservation, but also that I've applied to the brand and for the people that are incredibly supportive. I know, the question can be around naysayers, but if you really see the groundswell of support that surrounds the brand and me, that's what I feel the most, and that's what I appreciate. But by design, I also recognize that a lot of those people aren't going to my page to see negativity. And so not just protecting myself or the people that work with me, but also the supporters, so I don't have the comments section on. That's a choice. And yet part of that challenge that I was trying to solve for was, then how do I create community? That is so key to this brand, and it's so key to how I like to show up in the world. How do we actually connect if you can't have comments and exchange? So my social media manager would send me screen grabs of different things that people were posting in their UGC. And I said, okay, what am I going to do here? They said, you could do a text overlay and respond. And I said, oh no, in the same way that on my own camera roll at home, I'll zoom in and I can scribble a little note and send it to a friend. I've just started this construct where I will start writing in my handwriting a note to users who put up content. So I said, let's find small and creative ways to engage the community and let them know that I'm listening, that I really see and appreciate their feedback. So I think a lot of it is just designing what works best for you while also being really cognizant of what is going to help grow the business with an intentional and authentic point of view. And that's what I'm constantly working to try to achieve.
I think
it's been incredible because when I was on Suits, that was my last time really in a position with a very large team. We had a crew of 200 people. And I worked on the show for 7 years, and I loved the crew. I loved that experience and the culture that's on set as well. And so I think being able to now have my own business, it's very different than being on set. And even the set for With Love Meghan, that's a crew of 80 people. It's still a very large crew. But for my business, I've been very decisive about having a lean team. I think you want to have a great soundboard of people that are with you and with varied points of view. You want someone who's going to push back. You want someone who's going to be so creative and savvy in a space that might not be my skill set. So I love creating that culture, having that camaraderie with my team, and playing and being curious, constantly just pushing the envelope to ask the questions of how can we show up in a way that truly indicates that we are putting care into every detail.
And how do you just
especially when you have people who have an appetite for the products in global territories, but we aren't selling internationally yet. And so they're finding workarounds where they'll have their friends stock up for them and then ship it to them separately. So the inventory is moving in a way that we hadn't anticipated, which is the biggest blessing. And can you talk a little bit?
And for a final question, I know financial independence has always been important to you, and you've said that it's the most empowering thing. I agree. And I think all the women in this room who are incredibly hardworking, every job is hard, but these career women also would agree. How do you think about that? Because you had a whole career very successful before you got married. You're having a whole other career now. What's the importance of financial independence to you?
Well, financial independence is what gives you the freedom of choice. And I think in this day and age, we all need to be able to have our autonomy. That is a huge element of that. Financial literacy, for that reason, is something that I spend a lot of time on, specifically for young girls and their empowerment. And I think as women, especially in a room like this, we can all probably agree that as women, when we're supporting each other for all of these elements that might not necessarily be the ones that people want to hear us talk about, there's nothing taboo. Doesn't need to be anything taboo about talking about our financial independence or our independence overall. And as women, when we support each other, we are not simply supporting each other's lives, we're supporting each other's legacies. And that's the piece that's so powerful. When I'm supporting or investing in another female founder, I am investing in what she is going to do for the culture, for her business, the legacy she's going to leave, how that brand, if it's a CPG brand, is going to show up in people's homes. So it is all fundamentally important, and I don't think it's a conversation we should shy away from. I think it's one that we should really embrace together.
Thank you, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex.
Thanks,
Such an honor to have you with us today.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, everybody. Have a great time. Thank you.
We're smiling on top of the world. Dangerous times, don't fly too high. Be sure to keep the ground in sight. Fly forever if you keep it tight. Love the world, but keep the sky on your mind.